today. The readings are all about being rejected by those around us. At times, our families, friends, and even someone who doesn't really know us will make us feel rejected. Yes, we all have been rejected at some time or another in our lifetime. Rejections comes in many different forms, shapes, and sizes. What I see as a rejection, others may look at as in the right way, and they may not look at it in the same way. They may look at it as their choice. I believe we call this in the eye of the beholder. When we first moved to the United States, I started school 2 weeks after arriving in Limon. The first day of school was both exciting and terrifying. I only knew a few words of English, and the other kids only knew a few words of Dutch. At first, I wasn't asked to join in any of the recess activities because of the lack of being able to communicate. To me, it felt like being rejected by the other kids, and they probably felt it was the right choice for them to make. After some time, as my English improved, these rejections started to disappear. After a few months, all rejections faded away. Rejection comes from being different from others. This is something God doesn't want us to be a part of. In our first reading, the prophet Ezekiel was sent by God to go and talk to the Israelites. They had rebelled against God and had turned to worshiping idols. Ezekiel was sent to talk some sense into them, to bring them back to God, to renew their faith in God. God warned Ezekiel that the people were hard-headed and stubborn, and that most likely they would probably not listen to a word he had to say. God promised Ezekiel that the people would definitely know that he had been there. Ezekiel was rejected because he spoke the words the people didn't want to hear. How many of us would have done this, knowing full well that most people would ignore us and to be rejected by everyone, and reject our every word? We most likely pass on the chance, thinking it wasn't worth the effort. But even through rejection by some, we might be able to plant a seed in someone, and a seed that is ready to grow. Jesus faced a similar situation in the gospel reading. Jesus was heading back home to Nazareth. Since leaving, Jesus had been going from town to town, preaching the good news, healing the sick, and driving out demons and those that were possessed. Jesus must have been looking forward to coming home, to visit with his mother, his family, and his friends, waiting to be greeted with a warm welcome. Instead, he was greeted by rejection. Some were probably glad to see him, but most rejected him. Why the rejection? Why the cold shoulder? Nazareth was a small town, and everyone knew each other. They knew who you were and what you were. These people focused on his past and not his present accomplishments. They saw Jesus as the carpenter's son and not as one being able to teach and heal. Jesus was not only rejected by some of the townspeople, but by some of his family as well. Jesus was rejected for his accomplishments. At this, Jesus was greatly discouraged by this rejection, and especially by the lack of faith in him and in God. Remember, If we reject Jesus, we reject God also. Jesus had the strength of mind to turn his back on the situation and walk away. We can all be faced with this kind of situation, being rejected by others because of our own accomplishments. And in this situation, God is asking us to do the same, to have the strength to walk away. These times may make us feel weak and defeated. These are the times we need to look to God for strength. Remember what God told Paul in his moment of weakness. My grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. Only in our weakness we will find the power of God, which gives us the strength. I want to share this little saying with you. It goes like this. When I am alone, God is my comforter. When I am weak, God is my strength. When I am nothing, God is my everything. So today, as we come forward and receive the Eucharist, let us look to the Eucharist and see God there as our comforter, as our strength, and most of all, as our everything.